Please click like and subscribe and that little notification bell for the next episode. Fort Bascum is like no other trading post on Route 66. It had displays like this one, depicting the fort back in the day. Now for a more recent history, we headed for the Deane Studio. We're going to be going into the Deane Studio here in Tucumcari. We're with James Crocker right now in Tucumcari, and James Crocker is the town photographer, and he also collects photographs of years gone by. And
I went to work here in 1961 at the studio, and I've kind of collected these old historic photographs that people bring in, and when we get these old pictures, we try to get all the information that we can on these. And I'll show this around, and everybody will handle it, and they'll look at it, and then they say, oh, well, that's the old Gafford home right there. Well, I'll just write on that thing. And then there's the George Ager estate right there and so forth. And that's where Sam Hunt lives. But both of these were high schools, and they've both burned down since that time. And this was the first racetrack in the state of New Mexico right here. When they finally come out in the finished copy, well, we'll have the name on the houses right here. George Ager, A.L. Hamilton, Gafford, Sam Hunt, Dietzman. This little house, for example, it was a German that owned it. He lived in this part of the house. The rest of this part of the house right here was sheep, livestock. You'll notice this motel right here. I happen to know the guy that owns this motel. Matter of fact, he's standing right here. The sign has changed mostly, I think. They've changed those little bulbs on top, those globes. I don't think they lasted long in a hailstorm. And they look like they would be difficult to change. So I noticed they're not there anymore. This is a fellow that came through named Bortel. You see a lot of his pictures, and he'd gone up on the little mesa just west of Tucumcari and photographed the old Tucumcari Mountain. And this was a landmark that was 11 miles east of town. And it was destroyed by the highway department when they built the interstate highway through there. And they weren't supposed to destroy it. They're supposed to put a bridge over it, but somehow they managed to get it destroyed. And this is all we have left of it. This is Herman Munkus. He was an early pharmacist in Tucumcari, and he would collect historic items. And matter of fact, when he went out of business, retired finally, well, most of his items went to what we now have the Tucumcari Historical Museum. This is the swimming pool. What a pool for a town like Tucumcari. We were very proud of that. Very, very proud of it.
All right, thank you very much for sharing your memories and your collection with us.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed Tucumcari.
We could have stayed longer listening to James and viewing the photos.
Well, we were excited to visit the Tucumcari Harvey House. We're with Mark here in Tucumcari at the future site of the Railroad Museum. Is that correct?
That's right. The building is on the National Historic Record. It's a mission revival style. I believe there's only one other building of this style that has two arches. But in its heyday, it was the center of activity in town. In the 30s and 40s, the restaurant that was in the depot building was really the place to go. If you wanted to take your family out for a nice dinner, that's where you went. Part of the reason that the railroad in Tucumcari became so important was that there's a line that runs from here to a town called Dawson, which no longer exists. But the Dawson line carried coal and coke down to Tucumcari, and from Tucumcari that coal and coke went to the copper mining area in southern Arizona. I mentioned that already. And this originally was where the restaurant was. This is where the lunch counter was. If you look in the floor, you can see the holes from where the stools were. The lunch counter made a big U here. If you look back this way, this was originally all open. Those walls that are separating that now will all come out. All of this will come out. That ceiling line will be uninterrupted all the way to where that lunch counter was.
Thank you very much for showing us this facility, and It was fun exploring in there, that's for sure, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all done.
Well, come back and see us.
This is the first of 3 Harvey houses that we filmed on Route 66, one of which is in Barstow, California.
This should be renovated when the show airs. Our next stop, Ghost Park.
So this is the Tucumcari Metropolitan Park site, also known affectionately as 5 Mile Park because it's approximately 5 miles out of town. This was built in the early 30s.
Melee.